This is the video review for Transformers Dark of the Moon Human Alliance Scout Class Icepick. When I first saw pictures for this thing, I was like, oh my god, this thing looks amazing, I gotta have it. But then when I saw it in store, it was like, not really feeling it, looks kinda boring. I ended up getting it because I had a $5 coupon to Target. And actually, I like this guy quite a bit. Or girl, since it has sort of girlish proportions. Curvy, wide, a bust, and high heels. Although a lot of Transformers end up having heel spurs that look like high heels. She also has some sort of hair-like details, so this figure, for the most part, just gives me the impression of a female. So, regardless of what it's supposed to be, I'm going to call it a her. Now, one thing to note is, this thing in the back here, a lot of people display it with it sort of split open. I don't do that just because it doesn't really peg in anywhere if you do that. But like this, it's not really fiddly or anything, and that's what I go for. Posability, the arms go forward, back, out, 90 degrees at the elbow, rotates above the elbow, and that's it. Oh yeah, they also have a little bit of back and forth posing like this, if you need it. And the head can look left and right, down, and not really up because this white piece here gets in the way. The hair sort of bumps into it. Although there is a little notch cut out for the hair, so there is room for the head. The leg will go forward, back, out, rotate above the knee, and get 180 at the knee. And then the legs, or the feet, then go back and forward, and you can move the heel if you need to. Now, one thing to notice is that I have these skids here on the back, because normally they're over the front like this, which I think just looks bad. It keeps them out of the way of the legs, but I don't know, it's a bit of a compromise. I go back and forth with how I display them. So, at the very least, if these skids are what are making you not want to get this figure, they can't be rotated out of the way. Because they're part of why it's like, it doesn't look that great for me, but in hand, this is actually quite a nice figure. Everything is nice and tight, fairly stable. Although actually out of the box, this ball joint here was fairly loose. But the black plastic in here is that nice kind of semi-porous plastic that when you put super glue on, it sucks it in, and then almost immediately it's dry and thick enough. So it's a kind of plastic that's very easy to work with, and I like that. I wish Hasbro would use that for more stuff. And yeah, this is robot mode. Very nice looking. You do have this as kibble, and this, and these skids, but otherwise, there's not much that gets in the way. To transform this figure is very simple. Start out by pushing the head down. Take this, and it will, there's a little white tab here, and that pegs into this hinge up here. And once you have that unpegged, that will allow you to start pulling this back. Rotate the arms back like this as well. Rotate this around. And rotate the forearm so that the white is facing out. Black's facing out. Rotate. White's facing out. And then just peg those together. When this is out of the way, that will allow you to, well, fold these down. That will allow you to fold this tab up, or this white panel here. Although you want to make sure that these are as far down as they're going to go, because there's a little tab on the end of them, of the a 3mm clip that hooks onto this white piece, and that needs to be between the top of this and the bottom of this, or else they'll be in the wrong position. And then just start folding this down and this up. And then bring this up. And there's a tab on the back of this white piece and a hole in the treads. Put that tab or that peg in that hole. And then all that's left to do is fold up the legs. And they sort of notch into the side there. Notch. And here you have the snowmobile mode. It's a very nice, compact, and for how small it is, quite heavy. It's a dense snowmobile. My only complaint is that the arms don't quite like to stay pegged together. Otherwise, it's very nice. It's a nice design, nice and sleek and angular and curvular. Looks functional, looks like a real vehicle. One thing that I really like about it is that Hasbro didn't try to make it be able to roll. Like they didn't put wheels on the bottom of these and then wheels on the treads here. And the reason why I like that is because it wouldn't have rolled very well anyway, and the casters would have ruined the sculpt a little bit. And I never would have pushed it around either, so I like how this thing turned out. This guy does have a weapon mode, and part of the weapon mode is that the treads back here split apart into sort of a chainsaw thing. But it's also, you can use it where this itself is a chainsaw. You can play around with it. I don't really care about it that much because it's one of the weaker weapon modes. So, I won't be showing that off. And for some reason this doesn't want to go back in. Go in. Why won't you go in? This is getting a little bit embarrassing, because I'm not quite sure why it's not going in. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I guess it does, because if this happens to you, it's like, oh crap. I'm not quite sure what's getting in the way. Let's see, it seems that there are two little tabs here. They're supposed to slip between these. And this is weird, and actually this might be a flaw with the mold for this to be happening. Oh, I see. These things move independently, and then there's a little hinge back here. The hinge was in the wrong place, and that was keeping it from going back together, so that's how that works. So if that happens to you, that's what's going wrong. So, hey, my fumble actually was useful. And those are my thoughts. Thank you for watching. I recommend this thing.